One. Wait for the. How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Known here, and welcome back to another episode of Geeking Out, where we basically discuss everything nerd and geek related. I'm here to do another segment on Get to Know That Actor, and I'm joined here by actor, dancer, and performer Cooley Jackson. How are you doing, Cooley?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing?
I am doing really well. I've taken a look at your some of the stuff you've done, and I was like really surprised to see that you were the Gold Ranger in a live dance show for Mighty Morphin
White
Power
Ranger.
Rangers.
White Ranger.
White Rangers. Sorry, he's got gold on him. I've always, as a kid,
Yeah,
I've always called him the Gold Ranger.
that would be
Um.
cool. That would be cool, though.
Oh yeah, no man, that's just. But to see that you got to be a Power Ranger on like for a live. What was it again for exactly that you
It
did
was
as a
Power
White Ranger?
Rangers live tour.
I've never heard of that. What
No, it went for 2.5 years. Yeah,
Oh wow, I wish I would have seen that as a kid back then. So basically, as always, we'll get to know you as an actor, what it was like in front of the camera, and just get to know you as a person. That's
sure.
what this is all about, really. So to begin, what made you want to get into acting, and how did you start that?
Well, with acting, I guess it started as a street dancer because when you're a street dancer, you're doing acting particular moves to make people laugh and to make people giggle at certain things, and of course, applause. And with that, kind of broke the ice for acting. So when we got into acting, we were just being ourselves, but portraying an actual character, just like anyone else would do. And it came pretty easy if you put your mindset into it and you blank out everything else behind you. And anyone really can do it. It's just a lot of people can't find themselves and then dive into that type of mode. That's why reality shows are so big because it's unscripted, but people are living their own lives, which is same as acting.
So what made you like just so you started out dancing? What was that like before you were acting and everything?
Well, the dancing, we couldn't afford, my mother and I couldn't afford dance lessons. I took dancing in school and things like that. But, when you're back then, if you were doing jazz or ballet, that was made for different types of people. Uh, and for me being in the sports and things like that, I was too cool to go down that route. So we started doing street dancing, which is like a lot of dives, like the barrel roll. You've seen people doing the worm,
Yeah.
mule kicks. My big brother Alpha created the dance called the Alpha. And we just started doing that and doing like Jackson 5 type moves, James Brown moves in between. And each person had their specialty in what they did. I did a lot of groundwork and a lot of flips and things like that. And some people be doing like the robot and stuff, and it was all different. So that basically got us into it. And then I remember we performed our first paid gig. I think it was like $100. It must have been about 7 or 8 of us. It was for a church. And we realized for 3 minutes of dancing, we got paid, money for doing it. And that's all she wrote.
But it seems like before you got into this, you had a fun time dancing and just doing your own thing and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, once again, when you start doing your own stuff, you start getting out and you start. Let's say, for instance, I grew up in Orange County. We have Disneyland, Magic Mountain, Knoxbury Farm. We have all everywhere. So there's a lot of places, even malls had a lot of contests that we would enter. And that's when we started doing our own stuff and creating our own groups. And it just started growing from that point on, especially we were, 45 minutes, 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Now it's probably 2 hours, but to LA. And so you got Universal Studios out there, you got Paramount, you got MGM, and so we were always in the entertainment capital, having our opportunities, going auditions all the time. And becoming a street dancer, we always had to battle against jazz dancers. Mind you, we aren't trained dancers, and they are. So they go through childhood on up to get certain gigs to dance behind these big name artists. We come in and we're doing these specialty acts that's just blowing them out of the water, which is creating friction. And so basically, that's how we became our own thing because we had to fight for our right to party.
You basically had to like, unlike how most, like you said, how most like, got to do all these like these dance schools and everything and work under these well-known people, you like literally started from like the ground up. You had like really, bust your ass to get to where you are.
Well, busting is an understatement. I mean, no one really, like, for instance, and let me give you an idea of what it'd be like. We go to Debbie Reynolds' dance studio, which is a big studio. That's where Michael Jackson rehearsed Thriller and most of his videos. Mostly all the big artists at the time used Debbie Reynolds' studio. We'll go there, we'll sign in. Everybody will either go to after SAG or either non-union. Of course, we didn't know, which was which, so we wouldn't sign nothing. We'd go in the room, we'd sit in the back. It'd be about 12 or more of us watching everybody go up, getting their name called. And finally, they would say, okay, well, you guys in the back, come on up. We all stand up and they said, well, what style of dancing do? We said, well, we do popping, locking. Of course, they didn't know what that was. And they said, well, let's see what you have. And you could probably find video on Boogaloo Shrimp, Poppin' Taco, Poppin' Pete, Hugo, people who've done audition tapes. Of course, it's very rare to find because tapes were mainly like the old school VHS.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with those.
Mm-hmm. And same here. And so I saw some footage of Taco and Shrimp and them doing some auditions, and it could have been for the movie break, and it could have been for something. I don't know exactly what the audition was for. It could have been a Lionel Richie movie commercial or something like that. Nevertheless, it's the same format, and so within that format, we will come forth and we would dance and we would blow their socks away. So what they had us do is they had the jazz dancers do their things, and all of a sudden, instrumental part of music come out, we come out and we would show stop. And show stopping means once we perform, no one wanted to see any more of the dancing. They just wanted more of what we were doing. And it was like a snowball coming down a hill and got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger till it got to the point where everybody wanted to learn it. Everybody wanted to do it. And that's basically how we got started. And I'm one out of, I'd say, a dozen dancers who helped launch street dancing.
Nice. That's how old were you when you started all this? If you can remember.
I don't mind to tell people I'm in my 60s.
You don't look 60. You look young for 60, man.
Thank you. I'm in my 60s, and I would say when I first started professionally, I graduated in 79, so I was just turning 18. That was my profession. I was dancing before then, but that was like my big main professional gig. It was called Hello, Here's Berlin. Went to Berlin for 10 days and to perform with Liza Minnelli, Ben Vereen, Wayne Newton, many artists. 2-day event. We had rehearsals there, and my first time out of the country and everything.
That's crazy. Sounds like you've done a lot. So I guess now into like the acting. Anytime I do these interviews, I've always done my research. From what I said, you were in a film series called Breakin' and Breaking 2. Mind telling a little bit about what it was like being in those films? Because I've never heard of those films before.
Oh, really? Wow, they're iconic films. Well, the cool thing about Breaking is that David Zito, one of the producers, sat me down with some other dancers. At the time, the place was called Ships. I think it was still on Los Angeles Boulevard. It's like a Denny's. And we sat in the booth and we just started telling about our journey with street dancing and just like kind of how I told you. And they built the first movie around the street dancers against jazz dancers. And that's what really made it pretty big, because it was kind of like a West Side Story in the street dancing and jazz world. And with that, they offered me a part in the movie as Turbo. And I was very honored to have that part. And Shabba-Doo already had Ozone. And Shabba-Doo and I later, we did a appearance on Solid Gold with Marilyn McCool, dancing the Footloose. You can find all this on YouTube. So hard, I'm punching my car. Wait out for what? Just tell me what I got. I got this feeling that kind of holding me
down. Oh yeah, no, I'm looking right now.
Dancing the Footloose, and that's when I was actually Turbo. At the same time, I had a part as Bruce Leroy in The Last Dragon, and I turned that down in order to do Breaking. David Zito told me, he said, you know, we saw what you and Shabba-Doo did on Solid Gold. He said, but you guys look more like best friends. We're looking for somebody who is looking up to Shabba-Doo as a mentor. And that's when they brought in a wonderful actor, wonderful dancer, one of my great friends, Boogaloo Shrimp, Michael Boogaloo Shrimp Chambers. So he came in and he killed it. Then they had me go to Electro Rock. It was me, Sugar Pop, and Coco. And we did the actual dancing, the dailies and everything, and Canon Films presented it to MGM, and MGM was so blown away by it, they gave them more money, or they participated more into making the movie with Canon Films. So the director who started it ended up getting fired, and they had a whole new director. Mind you, I was a Solid Gold dancer at the time, so I had to take time off of television in order to do the movie. So it ended up reshooting it, and I wasn't Electro Rock. That's when Poppin' Pete, which is a great dancer, and Poppin' Taco, who was wonderful, may he rest in peace, those two came in as Electro Rock. And so I got bumped down to a cameo, and just that cameo blew up. Now, I tell people this, if they watch Breaking, you'll start seeing parts in Breaking that's not in the movie. That was the outtakes from the daily that MGM scene. Plus, I got pictures and all that stuff showing it as well.
Nice.
So, oh, I didn't see that part in the movie. I said, yeah, they use that in clips to help promote the movie still, but it's not actually in the movie.
Yeah, they do that a lot with movies. Like they'll show clips in the trailer, but like when you see the actual movie, it's like it's not there.
Right. And then you'd be like, oh, I want to see that part, you know, it's pretty cool. Nowhere to be found.
So you said you were part of a dancing TV show called Solid Gold. I've never heard of that. So mind explain it for those who may have never heard of it.
I got a little picture.
Oh, that is cool.
So that's the Solid Gold dancer. That's me, Mark, and Darcel. I just so happened to have that picture there. But yeah, Solid Gold. Solid Gold was the first dance show that was huge back in the 80s. Other shows came out. Like you heard of Dance Fever.
I've also heard of like Soul Train, which was another one.
Soul Train was more soloing and dancing. Solid Gold, we had routine dancing, plus we got paid a lot of money. We were just as big as any actor or performer. Soul Train, it wasn't a paid show. You just danced to show your skills, show off your outfits, got your free cold chicken, and come back the next month. But Soul Train is a staple in our society as one of the great shows, which it is. All the dancers, I love them to death. They are, they should have been paid and should have been credited more. I was a Soul Train dancer as well, but not as long as a lot of people. So I danced in the show. And with Solid Gold, we were the highest paid dancers on TV at the time. And then a show came out called Fame. And I also danced on TV show Fame with Debbie Allen and Leroy. So Fame came out and Solid Gold was just starting, and I ended up getting the job on Solid Gold and stopped doing Fame through my big brother Alpha. He helped.
Shout out to Alpha.
That's right. That boy, he took me under his wing and carried me. Um, and my point being is that show gave me a platform to show street dancing all over the world because we didn't have internet or anything.
No,
So
no.
to see break dancing, you had to go to that show. Mind you, I was on that show 7 days. So I was 2 days on Solid Gold and 5 days on Solid Gold Hits. So I was always on TV, and who knows who I inspired throughout the years on wanting to be a dancer. A lot of people probably said, when I was a kid, I saw this guy on TV, which was me, but they probably just don't remember and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, yeah, this is like you said, this is like back in the 80s.
And it was
And like,
83 to 86 for me, and the show was from 1980 to 89.
wow, yeah, I've never that's one thing I like about doing these interviews, like the people will talk about stuff that I've never heard of, probably like maybe like my mother or, family
Yeah.
members, but like it sounds like you got to do some really cool stuff.
Well, people
One
heard of Star Search. Star Search started from Solid Gold. Bob Banner was one of the executive producers for it was Brad Lockman and Bob Banner. And Bob Banner left Solid Gold and started Star Search with Ed McMahon was the host, and that was a big show. And then all these shows kept coming. One's called The Big Show was out, which Shabba-Doo was the star of that. And they had Kicks, Hot City. You probably heard of the Midnight Special. That was before Solid Gold, and I also was on that. Um, I've just done a lot of things. I was very blessed.
well, it sounds like you know, so imagine when you weren't so what was like I imagine when you weren't like on an acting or on solid gold, I'm sure you had your standard 9 to 5 job as well.
Nope. That was our 9 to 5 job.
Ah,
Like I said, we made money. I mean, we made back then a lot of money. You ever heard of actor Joey Lawrence?
Joey Lawrence? Yeah, I've heard of the actor Joey Lawrence. I
Used to
mean, if
teach Joey Lawrence how to dance, and his brother Matthew when they were just
Joey,
boys. Joey
okay.
Lawrence and Matthew Lawrence. Matthew was in Miss Doubtfire. He's a little boy in Miss Doubtfire. I also worked with Matt LeBlanc. Um, yeah, I've showed him some dance moves with a show called Top of the Heap. I have video on all of that. I worked with Patrice Rushen, Lionel Richie, Cool in the Gang. The list goes on.
Oh wow, yeah, no, I like again, I've never heard of any of these shows before. That's really cool.
Emmanuel Lewis, Webster. Little,
No.
I remember a show called Webster, Emmanuel Lewis. Yeah, I've worked with a lot of people and met a lot of people. So, like I said, everybody always said, if I had a chance to do it all over again, what would I do? What would I change? I think I would change decision making because when you are on a certain level, you pick certain things you want to do, and you don't necessarily pick the right thing. You just go with what you think is better for you at that time. When it's obvious in your face what is better for you.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. But when it's given and given and given and given, you're just like, I could see certain actors like let's say, for instance, an actor from Happy Days. Okay, they may be pretty relevant to act and ready and want to get back out there, but for them to get back on that horse is hard as heck. There's actors in the movie Cheer. I'm not the Chips. The motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
That where they at? And I can go down the list, and
Yeah.
and not saying they're not good, not saying they can't do the same thing, but Hollywood just passed us all over, and they go to the next step.
Oh yeah.
But
They find the
not to
next
discredit,
they find the next big thing basically.
well, not to discredit any actors or anyone out there now.
Oh
It's,
no, no, no.
I want to make that very clear, but um, there's a lot of people out there who just have a lot of social media following, a lot of hits, and they're where they at because of that. Not saying they're not talented, but we didn't have that. So the proof is in the pudding. The talent is what got us to where we at, not social media. So that just shows you how strong we had to be. Um, if we had had social media, we'd even be larger, in that
Oh
case.
yeah, no. The
And
only
then
way
it
you
goes the generation before that with the Step Brothers, with Fred Astaire, with Gene Kelly. Same thing with them. They were big, but they should have been bigger than what they was big. So it just happens and goes along. But with myself, I'm still prevalent. I'm still healthy. I'm
I mean
blessed.
for 60 you seem to be doing pretty well.
Well, thank you, thank you. Yes, I don't. I like to say, and I always say this: I don't do drugs, smoke, or drink. Never have, never will.
Well, there's
And
nothing wrong with
I
that.
credit that. I credit that, to my youth.
Oh yeah, no. So one thing I always ask about these advice for those who are considering on wanting to get into acting or dancing or just like feel like they're not getting anywhere with what they're doing.
I would say don't procrastinate. Do it. Um, Back in my day, and I'm a bad person towards that as well. Back in my day, we'd go to school, we're doing homework, we're going to my garage, and we would dance, and we would do that 8 years, going, and just do it. You just got to do it. You have to dedicate yourself. People put things off, excuses, whatever reason. I would say put at least an hour towards something per day, whatever you want to do. Just acting, dancing, singing, just 1 hour. Dedicate yourself. Don't procrastinate and not do it. And something will come out of it. If you don't find anything, something will find you.
That's that's like probably the best advice ever, and that's like you're not the first actor to say that either,
Yeah.
which shows that yeah, no, that's really cool. So like I said, I've looked on again, I've looked at your IMDb because it helps with research and getting to know what someone's done. I've also noticed you were a dancer on a Michael Jackson project called Moonwalker. What was that like working with MJ himself?
Oh, that was wonderful. Michael Jackson. We have great history. My One of my good friends, Casper Dron Kennedy, and I was fortunate enough to teach him how to do AKA moonwalk. It's called the backslide. And he saw us dancing on Soul Train. And that was the first time we had met Michael. I was doing, as you see on my IMDb, Sesame Street.
Yeah,
I
I saw that you have an
played Grover.
uncredited Grover. Wait, so
Yeah.
you were like so Grover we'll go more into that, but yeah, Moonwalker, what was it like being
I
on
was
that
I was
project?
doing I was doing Grover, and then Michael contacted Casper, and my mother told me I better come down. I met up with Casper, and for a week we taught Michael how to do the moonwalk, and the rest is history with Michael. And the second time I met Michael, Jeffrey Daniels from Shalimar was the choreographer for the street dancers for the Moonwalker video, and called me in. And then I'm one of the guys in the video doing the lean real low to the ground and back
Oh
up.
yeah.
I'm one of those guys. I'm in the front
Oh, nice. Yeah, and if anyone wants to look this up,
yeah.
yeah, it says that yeah, Jeffrey Daniel and Cooley Jackson taught Michael the moon. That is cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not like starstruck or anything, but learning that like Michael Jackson learned that such an iconic thing from like you
Yeah.
guys, that's
That we showed them.
credits were credits too,
Don't
man.
forget Casper too.
Yeah,
Jeffrey Jeffrey worked with Michael. Casper and I was the only two that taught him the moonwalk.
yeah,
Casper candidate, yeah.
yeah, Casper
So,
candidate. Yeah, wow, that's awesome, man.
thank you. And so with the Moonwalker, it was just, how can you say, it was fun doing it. But had we realized the impact later on in our lives, I think we would have put more into it. But we were just dancing, doing our thing. But that's the funny thing in life. You know, like I'm a musician too. You can see that online. I have records out on Spotify and everywhere. You know, Cooley Jackson, music's doing great and doing good.
So you
And
sing too? That's pretty cool.
you gotta be a triple threat.
Got it. I mean, actor, singer, dancer, might as well. Yeah.
And with doing all these things, you just gotta stick with it. You gotta go with the flow. You gotta see what sticks. I mean, if you're gonna battle this beast of entertainment, it's kind of like, okay, you beat the beast, but now you gotta take on the siblings. What are the siblings? Well, now you beat the beast and you made your stomp, but now you got to worry about fans. You got to worry about extortion. You got to worry about your place getting robbed, cars being vandalized. You know, you just don't worry about all these other things. Friends, that's this bandwagon. They come, why you have money, they're your best friends. When you run out of your money, they disappear.
Oh yeah, no. I've heard multiple times, not like interviews like on here, but like on TV, how people like once you hit that certain level of fame, people just want to use and abuse you.
Yeah, you got to be careful, and there is no way to be trained for all that. So when you hear about people drinking more or dying or whatever the case may be, there's always these hidden things, you know. May he rest in peace, my good friend Twitch, you know, which was a huge surprise. But you never know what beast was battled. You never know. You know, I didn't see anything, you know, with that, but it's sad because he was a wonderful, wonderful dancer, and in our time now, equivalent to me in the 80s. So I just tell people, when you want to be a star and you want to be a dancer, you want to be a singer, whatever the case may be, there's another beast you have to deal with. So you kind of gotta maneuver yourself and be ready to deal with other things in life, not just, oh, I'm famous, I got a lot of money. That no, there's more to it. They don't understand. So sometimes, you know, having a regular 9 to 5, you're good. My advice to everybody out there: start your own business, do your own thing, stay under the wire, because all these producers and directors are making more money and have the fame without the problems.
Oh yeah, no. And I think what most people need to realize about famous people, yeah, they have that, yeah, they're famous and they're well known, but they're just ordinary people. They've just, do more than what, someone like me does. And
Well,
there's nothing.
the worst famous people, in my opinion, I was telling my fiance this, is football players. You take a kicker, if he misses the ball, he's hated by everybody. If he makes the ball, he's loved by everybody. I mean, look at the 49ers, you know, look at all the fans, you know, how they're upset. And it's just the way it is. So, you know, you kind of gotta pick your battles, you know, pick your poison. That's just the way it is in life. You know, you want to be a football player and you want to be a star, that's great, but there's stuff that's going to come along with it.
Oh
Just
yeah.
because you're that player is not saying you're going to be. If you get thrown the ball and you miss it and you blew the game, okay, how do you handle that personally the next day with the media, with people, with social, with emails, you know?
Oh, and social media can be a real beast too.
Oh, yeah, because people hide behind it, they'll kill you. Yeah. So so that's what I'm saying. The fame game is that's what it is. It's a game. It's a fame game. You got to know how to play your right pieces on the chessboard in order to survive. And you do that. When you win, you become iconic like Muhammad Ali and all these heroes that has passed away, that's no longer with us, that we love and respect because they beat the game. But then you got yours who have that big question mark. Why? Why did they commit suicide? Why did they was found, dead? You don't understand it, but they didn't beat the game. The game beat them. Something got to them. I don't know what it is. I'm
No.
not a psychologist, but I'm just saying something had to get to them. And like I said, I'm not in that mindset, but you just got to be careful what you wish for.
Oh no, I wholeheartedly agree. Now, another thing I want to talk about, you got to you said when we started this, you got to play as a White Ranger in the Power Rangers dance tour. So I gotta ask, what was that like being able to play such an iconic character as the White Ranger?
Oh my God, you have no idea. Wow, that I don't even know where to start with this. I could start with Universal Studios. When we was at Universal Studios, I remember when once I was hired to play the White Ranger for the tour. I was driving to do the show. These are just bullet points that's hitting my head.
Hey, that's okay. Sometimes those things from way back when are not easy to remember.
Oh, I remember. I just don't know where to start.
Hey, that's perfectly fine.
But if you're driving down the 101 to exit to go to Universal Studio, obviously there's several exits, but one exit was real long. I mean, the line was, as far as I can see. And so you go to the next exit, and I'm trying to get there to get to the show that everybody's, coming to see. And you hit that stage, in that costume, and I can't explain it to you. You get this adrenaline rush, and so your martial arts and your acting just hits a level that's unbearable. But the only thing is, everybody thought we were the actors, but obviously, we're the understudies. Now, as an understudy, the cool thing is we made more money. The other thing is we got to become part of the family, and we traveled around. Uh, the actors would not have want to do that because you had to bring it every night. In other words, when you are in the movie world, there's cuts, there's edits, there's all stuff like that. When you're doing a live show, you got to bring it. You have to, if you make a mistake, you have to be able to cover up. If you, every night you do a flip, you have to stick that flip every show, every show. When you perform and there's sweat coming down and in your eyes, and you're like, shaking your head and blowing, trying to get it. So then sweat getting one eye, you got one eye closed and one the other one's open, and you're still acting and you're still doing your stuff. It's all these things people don't understand. And then you find your way to maneuver and do things for the live show. So everybody has their glory and everybody have their pats on the back for what they do. And it was an honor, up standing and being part of Jason Frank's Power Ranger world. And, again, may he rest in peace.
Oh, yeah, no.
But to be a White Ranger for Jason Frank as the White Ranger backup was a huge honor. That's all I can say with that.
Oh, yeah, no.
He can be very missed. I never met him. That's the funny thing. People say I never met Jason Frank.
That's just crazy. I mean, still to be like probably like the second or third actor to play such an iconic character,
Mhm.
At that sky, I imagine that was like a lot, especially at the time when Power Rangers was just like, was really big at the time back in the
People
90s.
don't have they don't have a clue. They have no clue. I mean, what would you say that would be big right now?
I honestly couldn't think of it because there's a lot of things that are big nowadays.
I would say in the singing world, Bruno Mars. You know,
Yeah.
it was at that level, if not bigger. You know what I mean? So um, it was it was a mania. That's all I gotta say. We sold out. First of all, we had two tours. We had a West Coast tour and an East Coast tour. I was a White Ranger on the East
I
Coast
mean,
tour.
and
So
here's your picture from the Instagram of the whole gang that you guys were.
that's right.
Oh, man, just the fact that you got to wear an iconic suit. I mean, I know it wasn't the actual suit. It was made for the
It was no, it was actual suit.
Oh wow.
The same, everything was the same. It was same costume designers, everything. It was Saban.
Oh
Seven Up,
wow.
Seven Up paid for everything. Obviously, Nabisco and Seven Up sponsored it. But yeah, it was Saban show.
Oh,
Yeah,
so it was actually licensed by the company that made Power. Wow. That's
Saban. He came in and he had to give his thumbprint on everything before we even traveled or did anything. Looked over all the costumes. He had to give everything. So yeah. Mhm.
crazy. Man, I still can imagine. One more thing I gotta ask. I gotta ask, what was it like being a bodybuilder? Like I said, I'm looking through your Instagram. This gives me talking points to talk about.
No, no,
It-
I think that's awesome. It was the first time I've done a podcast interview with Zoom, and someone asked about that, which is great because um,
well, I feel like this like gives people idea. Like I said, this the show is called Get to Know That Actor, not just get to know them as an actor, but also get to know them as a person.
no, I think that's awesome because I've always wanted to talk about that because till this day, my fiance and I we work out, we keep ourselves in shape together. Matter of fact, when I finish this, we're going to go work out, right, sweetie? um, and the thing is, a healthy body keeps a healthy mind. You got to keep yourself straight. And I say this to everybody: God gives everybody a fresh start. They're at different levels. Technically, we're at a fresh start. And from that point on, our parents carry us to a certain level because your parents cannot feed you. You'd be real skinny, or they feed you too much, you'd be too fat. So it waivers, but then when you become in control, now you don't have to drink, you don't have to smoke, you don't have to do drugs. Um, you have your choice on what you carry. Um, Imagine if we only had one vehicle in life, okay, and that's all you got was one vehicle. How many vehicles would be looking well? I would say 95% of them won't, right? But you see a lot of people who do car shows and they keep up their cars.
Oh
And
yeah.
and okay, well, that's like bodybuilding. You got to think of your body as a driving tool. You got to take care of it. So if we weren't able to buy newer cars, then everybody be driving jalopies, but and that's what their bodies are jalopies, because of the drinking and drugs and the partying and not exercising, etc. But
Stuff like that can ruin your body, just like if you don't
that's
take care of your
it's
car.
not going to change because then all of a sudden, and this again, this is just my opinion, something like COVID hits or something like that, and you're not able to um, fight it because your immune system and etc. Until something drastic hit, you don't think about the repercussion when you're doing the party. See, fortunate, I was thinking about that, and I started doing bodybuilding and building my body and building my body, building my immune system and going into it because I want to fight off any diseases, any bad. Then I want to look good, and keep my body in shape. And it was all these things. Being a dancer, I want to be more of a dancer. I want to make sure when I get older, I can still do what I do. I was thinking basically like a Democrat in the future.
I mean, it's crazy to see how these people in like their 70s and 60s can still like, move like they did when they were younger. They
My
can't do a
my
whole they can't do
mentor,
they can't do a whole lot, but they can still do some of it. And
right?
the
They
fact
still
that
can move. Exactly. My mentor was Jack LaLanne. I used to watch his show when I was a kid, and I used to do exercises and sit-ups and stuff like that before going to school in elementary school because it was fun watching the show. He had a show called the Jack LaLanne Show, and for 30 minutes did certain exercises. This was way back in the day. Not and then I would go to school and I don't know if they do this in school now, but they had the softball throw, they had the standing broad jump, they had all these physical fitness exercises that you did, and then if you were the highest, your name would go up on the board, and of course,
I've never seen that going to school. I mean, like I said, I'm 30 now, and back in the day, I don't remember doing having seen like, if you do well at this certain activity and gym, then your name's like they never had that.
and it's funny because they did that in track, and they did it. It's called physical ed, and they had several things like they had the side step where they had three lines. You stand in between one line, then you step over, touch, step over, touch, step over, touch, and you're getting time for it. So they doing coordination, they doing agilities, they doing speed, they're doing jumping, and I just loved it because I was very high in it. I was always very short. I was only like in, let's say, junior high school. I think I was 4'6", and I high jump 5'2.5". So give you an idea. And the record still holds at the school.
Nice. I mean, the fact that you're a dancer, I'm sure you had to do a lot of crazy moves. What's been the craziest movie you ever had to do before?
Craziest move like in dance or craziest move in singing, dancing,
Craziest movie you ever had to do in dancing?
craziest move I had to do in dancing. I would say unconsciously a move that I did with, okay, I was doing a show for NBC. I was standing on a speaker and I was dancing. I turned, I did a backflip off.
You did a backflip off a speaker?
Yes, onto the stage. It must
Oh,
have been
dang.
about 15 feet maybe in there.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
That's probably the craziest move that I've ever done.
Oh
Or
my,
second to that, and before that, I just remember by saying that. And as growing up as a kid, the things that drove us was fame and girls. So, so you figure you're a kid, and then somebody come in the neighborhood and say, so and so said he can do more flips than you. I'm like, I could beat him, and they'd be like, so Cooley said he could beat you. Oh, where's Cooley? Then we'd meet up and we go to the park, and we'd be walking to the park and running, doing round off backflips and doing all this other stuff. And we'd stand on the fence at the park, which was probably about 3 feet tall, and we'd do a backflip, and somebody climb up on the backstop of the gate for the softball, and that's how I got trained to do backflips that high.
that's
I know, isn't that crazy?
that's
I,
crazy.
I think about that stuff and I'm just like, wow, what in the heck? Wow. And I wasn't even on drugs. That was just playing on, showing off in front of my friends.
That's crazy. So another question, from what I've noticed, you also made appearances at conventions. What's it been like being a guest for conventions?
Well, I like doing Q&A, which is, questions and answers and talking to people at certain things. By the way, I do that. So anybody can always book me to do that. And I have bullet points on my life and what I experienced in the world of street dancing. And I love it. Um, I like talking to the youth and giving them advice. Um, not really telling them what to do, but helping them pave their path. Because my belief is we're led to a fork in the road through our lifetime, and then we make a choice to go left or right. And whatever choice you make, you come to another fork in the road, and then you go left or right, and it continues. it never gets to a point where you reach the end. You're always going to have a fork in the road. The challenge is to choose the right path. So if you go one way and you don't know what to do in life and what to be in life. And if I could say, you want to become a dancer, or you could work at McDonald's. That's the fork.
I mean, I've worked at McDonald's, so you know.
Well, but you have a choice, right?
Oh yeah, no.
I'm not saying it's bad, but you have a choice.
Oh no, you know you do.
And you choose a dancing. So you go to dancing. Okay, now you're at the dancing. What do you want to do? Street dance or jazz? Another fork. Well, I want to do street dancing. You go down that road and you keep on doing it. My only thing is, it's a saying that I've learned a while back. It's called stick and stay and make it pay. Stick and stay with one thing and make it pay off.
That's
That
some
is,
pretty sound advice.
that is what you do in life. You know what I mean? You conquer the forks in the road and you stick and stay and make it pay. That will solidify your success in what you're going to be in life. Satan's going to be knocking on that door
Oh yeah.
24 hours. He doesn't stop. He doesn't sleep. So you got to learn how to play dodgeball with him. You got to learn how to say no. I talk to people and they say, well, I started drinking because my friends kept saying, oh, just have one drink, just have one drink. And I was the type of person saying, look, I don't want the drink. Do not bring that in my face no more. I said no. Opposed to, okay, I just have one. No one just has one. Fork in the road. You know, that's just the way I look at things. Who's in control? You have friends. This is an interesting point. You have friends. How many friends, or what is a friend? A friend is somebody who would help you when you're down, down, down. I know a lot of people who got kicked out of their apartment and they won't let their friends stay with them or loan them money to get back on their feet. You know, everybody disappears. No one wants to help. And you thought they were friends. Forks in the road. Choose the right people you hang with. You know, it's things like that. That's all I'm trying to say, is that be aware of what you do in life and where you go in life and who you meet in life, because that will determine the outcome in life. And that's how I do. And I'm not perfect. I have my share. I mean, I have a beautiful fiance, you know what I mean? And she is just wonderful. But I chose the right fork. You know, I choose her and nobody else. And I'm stick with it, stick and stay and make it pay.
Hey, that's again, that's some pretty sound advice. So one more thing before we end this. For those who are listening or watching this, just any last minute advice you'd like to give out there for those who are listening or watching? Uh,
Is there anything?
no. Is there anything you'd like to
Oh,
throw out
oh,
there? Oh
oh.
yeah. Is there any last minute advice you'd like to throw out there for
Any
those who are
last minute advice from me?
Yeah, any last minute. Yeah, sorry about
I get to say, we're sitting there waiting. We've been here all day. Uh, um, I would say, uh, take everything I said today with a grain of salt. I am not God. I am not perfect. I am not nothing but a regular person like you. I'm no better than anybody out there. I was just blessed with the talent and the right mindset. Um, uh, I'm not trying to be a preacher. I know it sounds pretty weird in hearing something saying that. I don't want to preach. That's my point. I just want to say, be careful on making your choices. Um, keep the faith. Whatever faith you have, keep it. Believe in it. Um, keep your temple, your body in tune. Keep your head in tune with your body. That is, don't do nothing crazy up here because it affects everything down here. Um, I have a lot of friends who perished from the AIDS back then. Um, They were very healthy, strong men. But you got to keep your head straight. You know, they weren't right up here, which destroyed that down there. And I even have a cousin who perished with that. So these are just little things. Just life is difficult, but it can be enjoyable and fun. That's basically it.
That's some pretty fun advice. So last thing, one thing I've been starting doing lately. Would you like to promote yourself by dropping your links below so people can find you and look you up?
Yes, yes, I can do that. I'm not pretty savvy on this.
Oh no, basically say you say your links so
Okay,
people
I'm
can find you.
going to type it in. You can find me on Instagram, which is the Cooley Jackson, and that's Jaxson, and that's one straight word. I also have CooleyJackson.com, and if you want to hear my music, is CooleyJacksonMusic.com.
Nice. And I'll make sure to put those in the links in the description below. Again, Cooley, man, thank you for coming on to talk about what it's like just not being not just what it's like being an actor, but also being a person as well. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing what you do later in life and just, you know,
I got some things. I got some things going. So
I can't wait to see, can't wait to hear. Same for those who are listening or watching.
yeah,
Cannot wait to, so again, and
just
thank you.
follow me. You will find it.
Oh yeah. And as always, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.